Today we are doing things differently. We are joined by the youth to commemorate youth and hear their views. Hello and welcome to this week's Media and Society Youth Day special. I am Diabo Seto and I'll be your host for today. Unfortunately, we are not live today, so we cannot take your calls, but you can tweet us using the hashtag SABC Media Society to give your thoughts on today's topic. On June 16, 1976, an extraordinary event unfolded as more than 20,000 young individuals etched their names in history by courageously marching against the oppressive apartheid regime. They were demanding to be heard. The consequential violence that erupted during those fateful days left an indelible mark on South Africa, altering the trajectory of its history. 47 years later, and we find ourselves in an era of freedom, where the world seems to lie at the feet of our youth, brimming with boundless opportunities awaiting their grasp. Although apartheid has been dismantled, the question remains: have the sacrifices made by the class of 1976 truly translated into tangible benefits for today's youth? Good morning once again, and welcome to this very special broadcast of Media and Society. Joining us to debate this issue and make their voices heard are young minds from HM Density Academy in Tembisa, as well as Simunye Secondary School in Bekesal. Let me take a quick moment to introduce our guest from Simunye Secondary School in Bekesal. To my far left is Anastasia, and she is joined by Ritabile, and they are with Ornelia and Dumi. On my far right is Ntlantla. Ntlantla is joined by Idu. Next to Idu is Tolang, and right next to me is Gamu. So the rules are very different and they're simple. They are as follows. We have split this very important topic into 3 subheadings, and for every subtopic, the 2 teams will have an opportunity to present their argument, and then they will give time for rebuttals. The topics are as follows. First, economic empowerment. Second, educational opportunities. And third but last, social and political progress. Let's begin. We'll start with the team in Simunye and just get to understand, maybe from yourself, Ornelia, how do you understand economic freedom in 2023? As
young people, we have the privileges which they didn't. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
What kind of privileges are those? Maybe Idu?
Those privileges that we have are the freedom to have a good and proper education. That is one of the freedoms that I have.
Atlanta?
The ability to have assets at a young age is also something that we should look at.
Tell me more about that.
Right now, banks are willing to offer you a loan to buy a house or a car if you're at the age of 18. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a benefit looking at the current times compared to previously, whereby you had to have a lot of documentation and be at a specific age of 25 and above in order for you to get assets or loans or financial aid.
Yeah. Do you see these contributing to your lives at home and also your lives at school, Anastasia?
Yes, I think it is contributing to our lives at homes, because right now the youth of South Africa are able do have equal access to assets, mm-hmm. as said by Ntlantla, and we are not forced to live in a separate community or environment as per it was happening before the 1976. So I think that it has contributed us and benefited us very well.
Right. Let's talk about the sacrifices that the youth of 1976 did, particularly with regards to economic freedom. We have challenges of a different kind. Maybe Gamu, you can tell me or take us through the kind of challenges that the youth of 1976 went through and whether you see similarities now. And maybe Dumi the side can take it over.
Okay, in my opinion, I think the youth of 1976 had it harder because they were battling the apartheid regime, also fighting against racism that was happening in South Africa at the time. So their economic involvement was not that much, considering the fact that they were mostly black and the white minority was dominating over the black people. So compared to now, I think we have gained more economic empowerment and freedom. As she said, that many young people now can get access to bank loans that can aid them in their progression in schools, and also their provision of assets, and also gaining their own things that can say they own for themselves.
Yeah. Dumi?
Well, what I think is that the youth of today usually has more benefits than the youth of 1976, because in 1976 it is said that the youth had to pay school fees, but the youth of today do not have to pay for school fees.
Yeah. You know, economic freedom also comes with a lot of sacrifices, and it also comes with its own challenges. While the youth of 1976 did not have a lot of economic opportunities that today the youth of 2023 enjoys, but those comes with a lot of challenges. For instance, the youth misusing economic opportunities and not taking them to their full extent. What's your view on that, Tolang?
My opponent said that the youth has fully benefited in a way from the sacrifices made by the youth of June 16, 1976. The youth of June 16, 1976 did play a significant role in laying the foundation for a democratic South Africa. However, as the present day youth, we are not fully benefiting from the sacrifices that were made in the past. For example, the unemployment rate is currently sitting at
36.32%.
Yes, in the mid-quarter of 2023.
Yeah.
And as much as we have the free education, but we still lack resources, we lack qualified teachers, and we lack textbook and so and so. And then also politically and socially. Yes, we do have the voices, as you said. We can express our voices, but are our voices really being heard, or are we being oppressed? I actually feel like the youth of the present day youth has not fully benefited from the sacrifices that were made by the youth of June 16, 1976.
Any takers this side on that point? Anastasia?
My opponent Tolang mentioned that the youth has not benefited fully, but I would disagree with that, because yes, it has not benefited fully, but the government is also working on it. The government has big projects such as EPWP, which tries to employ the young people of South Africa, and then coming to education-wise, whereby we have lack of qualified teachers, we have bursaries such as Funza Lushaga, which is trying to support young people, postgraduates, to pursue their teaching careers. So I think we are benefiting in a way. Yes, private schools and public schools cannot be the same, because like private schools are owned privately, and for you to get to a private school, you have resources. But free education counts. Before 1976, free education was not there, and it was difficult to even use English as a language of instruction. So yes, we are benefiting.
Sure, Ntlantla, you want to take that?
To go up against what Anastasia said, she mentioned employment in the youth and government initiatives. We still have places in the community whereby youth members are ganging up in street corners and staying there up till late instead of actually going out to find employment. I feel as though government has made our youth very lazy to wake up and find jobs and to pursue entrepreneurship, but instead, by creating initiatives that only benefit experienced youth members, it's creating a blockade for people that are fresh from matric or university in pursuing studies. For example, myself, I'm finishing school matric this year, and next year one of my concerns is, will I be able to get enough funding to study, or will I be able to get employment to fund my study? So the youth has not really benefited from the struggles of the previous.
Yeah. Onilia, can I bring you in now? Can I bring you in just to take me through? Do you feel confident that once you finish school at Simunye Secondary School, you will have funds to be able to further your education, and that the government will be able to assist you or not?
I think the government will be able to assist me. Maybe let me mention what's this NSFIRS.
Yes.
Okay. When I get to varsity, I'll be able to apply for NSFIRS, and obviously, most of the people who apply for NSFIRS are people who come from bad backgrounds. You see, so when I get to varsity, I'll be able to apply for NSFIRS, and I'll be able to further up my studies. You know, and.
Ritu, what do you think? I'll come to you, Gamu. How confident are you in what the government is doing to further your studies?
I cannot say that I am confident enough on what they have said I must do. So then the thing that I'm saying right now, when it comes to furthering my studies, I'll rely on the resources that I have right now, not trying to get resources from other places or people. So then the thing that I'm saying is that, so now I can just use only the resources that I have and the resources I can manage to make. So then so that I can be able to know how I can further my studies and how I can make my future better.
Right. I think Gamu wanted to add a point.
Okay, as Onilia mentioned, she was talking about the NSFAS. We must not look at this in a subjective manner. We must also look at external factors that affect the whole of South Africa. NSFAS is not in fact focusing on one student or one person who's looking to apply to university. They also have to cater for the needs of other students that want to further their studies into tertiary education. So putting all your reliance on NSFAS will not give you the guarantee that you will indeed get accepted into a tertiary facility and that you will gain the necessary knowledge that you need for the future. So what I'm saying is that the government does not and has not given us enough resources and has not given us the assurance that we will indeed gain access to these resources in the future. So saying NSFAS will benefit us, that's a far cry. I don't think it's true at all.
Rita Bile?
I think I agree with what you said, but then the government doesn't necessarily have to do everything for you. I mean, you can apply for other learnerships and all of that. For example, we have the youth development program, which gives people who are under the age of 35 the opportunity to develop their careers path and learn the importance of life. I mean, we all want to be independent and become financially stable, right? So, yeah.
Tulang, 1 minute that's left that I'm being told that we've got 1 minute. You wanted to say something?
Okay. My opponent has this year mentioned bursaries. However, I feel like education starts from primary, secondary to tertiary sectors. We also have to look in the primary sectors. We lack resources. We lack qualified teachers. We need that in order for us to surpass the other grades to get those bursaries and go to school. How do you expect a certain learner from a poor background to get that bursary if ever they don't have the enough resources and the qualified teachers to obtain that bursary?
All right, we're going to take a quick break now. You are watching Media and Society. This is a special broadcast of Youth Day, and I am flanked on my left by bright minds from Simunye Secondary School in Bekkersdal. On my right, I'm flanked by another bunch of bright minds from HM High Density Academy, and they've been debating on this first segment about economic opportunities and whether the youth of 1976 actually did fight for the youth of 2023. and whether they on their personal experiences, they're seeing the benefits. The group from Simunye Secondary School says it has all the confidence in the government and all the government resources that currently exist, while the group from HM High Density Academy says that there isn't a lot that government has done, and government can definitely do more. In the second segment, we will be looking at educational opportunities and how they see it as learners from both schools. For now, we take a quick break. Thank you for staying with SABC News. You're watching Media and Society. This is a special broadcast celebrating Youth Month. As you know, that the month of June is one where we celebrate the youth in South Africa. And welcome to the second segment. The topic is educational opportunities. If you've just tuned in, I am flanked by two groups of exceptionally bright minds. On my left, I have the group from Simunye Secondary School, and on my right, HM High Density Academy. And now we have been joined by one of their classmates, Linton. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here. And now we are going to talk about educational policies and to what extent the youth of 1976 has made sacrifices, particularly when it comes to education, translated into improved educational opportunities, particularly for the present-day youth in South Africa. We're going to debate the quality of education and access to resources, as well as the effectiveness of educational policies in empowering today's youth and also bridging the gaps that still exist. All right. Firstly, how do you assess the progress made in improving educational opportunities for the present-day youth of South Africa as a result that was made by the sacrifices of the youth of June 1976? According to all of you, are there tangible advancements in terms of access, quality, and inclusivity? This hour, I will start with HM High Density. Dlantla?
In terms of the quality of education, it hasn't really improved because we still have the situation whereby at schools we're still being taught something that won't benefit us after school. We're being taught what we have to know, but not what will improve our skills. That's why we find the problem whereby now when we're applying for jobs, we usually ask for skills, whereas instead we should be trained based on a curriculum that focuses on grooming us to be able to work outside the school environment, that should be grooming us to be entrepreneurs. We're still being groomed to work under another person. We're still being groomed to lack skills. We're still being groomed to be dependent on what we are told instead of being dependent on what we know as people.
Tabile, I think you have the mic. Do you have a view on whether the present-day education policies are tangible in terms of access, quality, and inclusivity?
Well, my opponent in Tlantla mentioned that we are only given a chance to study, and well, basically what she's saying is that we only have theories, but I'll still have to oppose to that because I think it is a choice of an individual to like maybe go to TVET college whereby you gain skills of work instead of going to university to just gain theory. And then coming to entrepreneurship, I think also it comes with a person. If you want to be an entrepreneur, then that means that you can go to school while also starting your own little business little by little, so that you pursue your entrepreneurship. So I dispute your points.
Allow me to come in. Do you feel that the curriculum, as Nhlanhla said, at school level, it helps you to be ready once you go to tertiary, or even if you decide to maybe start working after grade 12? Do you feel that the curriculum is of the right foundation?
Yes, I think that it is of the right foundation, For an example, from my school, in 2020, there was a learner who got employed right after matric. She didn't start by going to university. Instead, she started by working at a mine. As she started, I think she did accounting, but then she did go to university afterwards. So yes, she didn't have to. She didn't have to. Yeah, she didn't go to.
She didn't go to tertiary, basically.
Tertiary, but she did get employed. Yes. So, yes, it does benefit us.
Yeah. Who wants to come? Kamo, you've got the mic now.
She mentioned the point whereby she's talking about access to education and that an individual has a choice to choose whether they want to enroll in a curriculum that is common to everyone or rather convert to a TVET college.
Right.
But what I have noticed and analyzed in this modern days, if I go to a high school, a normal high school or secondary school, and you go to a TVET college, I somehow obtain higher marks than you. A university has higher chances of considering me as their student than you from a TVET college. I think that schools should include practicality in their curriculum. Subjects like entrepreneurship should be included in our curriculum because it allows a youth person to engage in practicality and real life experiences. Other countries have advanced in terms of education. Other countries like China are doing robotics at the tender age of 12 years old. What are we doing as 12 years old? We are being taught life orientation, things that are not beneficial, things that we could learn.
Life orientation is not beneficial?
Nah, it's not beneficial.
How so? Tell me more.
According to my opinion, life orientation is just something you can learn along the way. It's a life thing. It's not something you have to learn.
Yeah.
You'll just experience it as you go on in life. But then we need robotics. You see, subjects like robotics. Do you think a 13-year-old in our country can produce a robot or something that is beneficial and can contribute eventually to the economy of the country? I don't think so. Because while we're being taught based on theory but not practicality. So I believe that practicality should be brought into our curriculum.
Yeah. Is life skills still necessary? Do you think that it paves your way in terms of social skills and how you interact with people and how you carry yourself as a young adult and going into adulthood?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Any opposing views this side?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay. Considering the more realistic fact that life orientation is not counted in the APS score when applying for university, it shows the minority that life orientation has towards the weighing of subjects in the APS score.
Yeah.
It being excluded should tell us all that it has no importance in us going to tertiary and obtaining the necessary knowledge that we need. So life orientation should be excluded and replaced with a rather more functional and more knowledgeable subject that will enhance our knowledge and make us have a broad perspective of things.
Anastasia is ready for you.
Kamo, I just have a question for you. Do you think if you fail life orientation and maybe you pass at least 5 subjects with a distinction, do you think you can get enrolled in university?
I do.
Really?
I do.
Is it possible? It's not.
I do.
You have to pass. You have to pass life orientation. Yes, it's a must for you to pass life orientation, and it's not that it's not weighed in university. For an example, in the APS score, if maybe you are lacking 2 points or maybe 3 points, they calculate it from your life orientation mark.
No, you guys are not at the. I'm gonna come to you, Linton. I'm keen to hear your views.
Okay, speaking on life orientation, I feel like life orientation can be replaced with something that can actually benefit us as the youth. Maybe, as they said,
robotics.
Yeah, robotics. What about agriculture? I think we already have agriculture.
You already have agriculture.
Agriculture and other subjects that will actually be beneficial. Because in life orientation, basically what we learn is how to sustain as a young girl or whatsoever, to avoid teenage pregnancy and to avoid STIs. But then, as much as we have that curriculum, look at the stats.
Yeah.
The rate of HIV and AIDS is still high.
Yeah.
The rate of teenage pregnancy is still high. So instead of actually teaching us things that we already know the lectures that we're already getting in homes, they should actually give us something that's going to grow the economy and that's going to benefit us as the youth.
I can imagine that we could stay on this debate for a while, but allow me to move and talk about school infrastructure, okay? Let's talk about school infrastructure and how much of a role that plays in terms of furthering your education. Do you look forward to go to school? Do you have proper ablution facilities? How important are those? We just came from the COVID era, right, where a lot of students, particularly in township-based schools and rural-based schools, were not able to continue with schooling for those 3 years that we were under lockdown, simply because of resources. How much does this affect your views on the modern-day youth of 2023? Linton, can I start with you? Then Ritabile, we can come to you.
Okay, so like coming back from the lockdown, as you said, most schools like in the township base, like let's take Winnie for example, in Tembisa. Those places like Winnie, like they lack infrastructure based on like they lack desks, chairs, school boards. So like we cannot learn like while standing up, because like it's gonna be like really hard for you to like actually get the knowledge that you are being taught. Yes, like that's my view on that.
Right, Simonya, team.
Okay, so I kind of relate to what you said, Nim.
Do you want to put the mic next to you,
yes.
Yeah.
I kind of relate to that situation because at school we lack so many resources, textbooks, chairs, and all of that. Even the infrastructure is not well, but it doesn't mean it has to be a disadvantage for you. You are there to learn, right? And you know what you are there for, so you can help yourself and learn so that you know you don't come back to that situation again, and you help the next generation. You help the next generation to not facing those challenges that you faced as a learner there in that school.
Yeah. So. Can I bring in Dumi here to hear your views? Do you think that you agree with what Rutabile is saying, that your primary role should be pushing yourself and maybe not worrying much about what's not there? Yes, you can worry, but push yourself rather than pushing government to give you resources so that you're able to learn.
Yes, I would agree with my teammate Rutabile. I think that we as learners should push ourselves, because let's take my school for instance. In my school, there are some learners who attend classes and some don't. So those who attend classes do pass and they sometimes do get advantages, but those who don't attend classes don't get those kind of advantages. Thank you.
Team HM High Density, should you be pushing yourself or should you be pushing government to help you get adequate resources so that you can study in comfort?
Okay, I think that we should recheck to the main motive of this debate. What we're talking about is, have the sacrifices made by the youth of 1976 actually benefited us in the present days?
Yeah.
So if we are going to talk about us working for the next generation to have better facilities of learning, better conditions, it means that all the people did in 1976 are in vain. The efforts are in vain. So at this point, we should have everything easy because they fought for us. This is what they fought for. We know that knowledge comes with comfortability. So if you have an environment whereby it's not clean, there's insufficient resources for learning, unqualified teachers, we know that education cannot be easy to grasp at that point. So if these kind of factors are guaranteed, then an individual has more opportunities and more chances of gaining more knowledge and actually grasping what they're being taught at the school at that moment.
Yeah, I hear a furious this side.
Okay,
can you take
so,
that?
You're saying the infrastructure is the main key. Yes, but then it's us that we are making it look like that. It's not the government. The government at least supplies us with food. I mean, you can go to school hungry, but then at least when you get to school, there's feeding schemes and all of that. And where is the food coming from? The government. So it is helping us in some way. There are some textbooks, there are some teachers who are unskilled and those who are skilled, but then at least there are, other than not having a teacher who's unskilled.
Yeah. Anastasia, you have a point to make?
Yes, going back to education, I think it was my opponent, Kamu, who said that learners don't pass because of lack of resources. Let's take a private school, for an example. Aren't learners from private schools, do we always get 100% pass from private schools?
No.
No, why? Because a learner, a child, or a young person will be a young person. We have different kinds of people, no matter how the infrastructure can be. If I decide that I'm going to play in school, I don't want school, then I will play. Let's not blame the government. We are given schools, we are given textbooks and everything, and then still I decide to play.
Yeah. Before we go to break, I have a burning one. Both groups have been talking a lot about the quality of teachers, qualified. Most of them, you say, are unqualified. What impact does this have on the youth of today, given that there is no employment and also the quality of education produces unqualified educators? How much of an impact is this on both groups? I'll start this side.
Okay. Looking at how these days teaching has become an easy way to get out of unemployment, that is where we get now people going to university to study teaching for the sake of teaching. And when you get to working as a teacher, the quality of what you do is very poor because there's no peer-to-teacher interactions. There's no teacher that's going to be sympathetic for how you're performing. The teacher's just there to get a salary. After getting the salary, they leave the class to attend to another class. So that way, it ends up coming up as a negativity to the student because they're less motivated. And it reduces student morale. It increases their rebellion towards the teacher, and most of the time, most of those students can draw in other students to share the same opinion, and this reduces the quality of education in schools and disadvantages a lot of people.
To me, is it you or is it Aurelia? Do you at least agree on that as a group?
Yes, I think we all agree on that.
What is your experience at Simunye, or just generally as young people in the side of Bekkersdal?
Well, inside of Bekkersdal, fortunately for us, we have very qualified teachers. Our teachers are not just there just for the sake of I am getting a salary at the end of the month. For an example, we have teachers who are willing to come to school on Sunday to support us as matriculants, making sure that they are pushing us each and every day so that we produce quality results at the end of the year. So unfortunately, we have poor infrastructures, but the teachers there are really great.
Yeah. Any closing comment from this side?
We also do attend on Sundays, but at the end of the day, let's look at how we also cross-night, attend on Sundays. We do a lot on our side as well, but that doesn't mean the teacher is necessarily qualified. Some teachers are just put in a position whereby they're forced to come or else their salary is deducted. And I wanted to close off on Ritabile, what she said about the feeding schemes. How beneficial are those feeding schemes? Because the government does not really check up on how many students they have. That's where now you find that some students are left out or not counted, and now the staff members there are forced to feel the pressure of contributing to buying food for those students because they feel the pain of not having food. That's why the feeding scheme was there in the first place. And on what else was said, that you are there for yourself. How do you enjoy school when you don't have a chair to sit on? How do you enjoy school when you don't have a table to write on? And then you say that everyone has to be there for themselves. I understand that, but at the end of the day, it's one person that can damage a whole classroom. And it's one system that can damage a whole entire future of another person.
All right. Do you have a burning one? Or can we take a quick break and get some water? And
we can take
Linton,
a quick break.
you good? You joined us a little late, but you good?
It's
We're good. All right, we're going to take another break, and it's heating up very nicely here. It is so refreshing to hear young minds and what they make and what they think about their own circumstances, and stemming particularly from the youth of 1976, who on this month, more than 40 years ago, they took to the streets to fight, to break many oppressions, and among them economic oppression, social oppression, and even educational oppression. We are discussing those three topics today, and when we come back, we will be looking at another point, and we'll be looking at social and political progress, and I am so excited and keen to hear what these bright young minds have to say about that. I must say they've also opened up my mind as well to think about things a little bit differently, given their two circumstances and also opposing views. With that, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have both the teams from HM High Density Academy as well as Simunye Secondary School right after this break. Welcome back. This last segment is about social and political progress. We are assessing social and political progress that has been made by the South Africa since the youth of 1976 took to the streets. And we are examining whether the present day youth have benefited from these advancements. We'll be discussing issues such as equality, representation, social justice, and the extent to which the ideals of the youth of 76 have been realized in contemporary South Africa. Just to remind you of who I'm joined by, I am joined by, on my right, I'm joined by the team from HM High Density Academy. It is in Tembisa, and they've just made a new addition to their team, Sia. Hello, Sia. Welcome to Media and Society. And I'll once again just remind you quickly who the team is. It's Sia, it's Ntlantla, it's Tolang, and it's Kamo. And on my left, we have a team from Simunye Secondary School. Simunye Secondary School is based in Bekkersdal. And just to remind you who is on this team, Anastasia, it's Ritabile, it's Ornelia, and it's also Dumi. Okay, so we've been talking about whether, socially and politically, whether there has been any change. All of this of 1970s, did stem on the grounds of politics at the end of the day. We are also heading to the 2024 general elections. Do you think that the youth of 76 have paved the way to understand what is happening politically and appreciate it fully? Anastasia.
Yes, I think that they did pave the way politically, so because now, as the youth of South Africa, you are able to vote, which is electing your democratic leader, and you are not forced to vote for a certain person in a way. So yes, we have benefited.
Yes, Kamo?
In my opinion, I think the youth of 1976 did enough for us to get the democracy that we have at the moment. Mm-hmm. Everyone is entitled to vote for whichever party they choose, but I don't feel as though our youth is so involved in the economic process and the democracy as it is.
Why is that so?
I think it's based on ignorance and illiteracy. The youth are not well acclimatized to the current affairs and the state of the country itself. As we see, the currency is decreasing at a rapid rate. Mm-hmm. And now the youth don't have any motivation to venture into politics. And as we are seeing now, our political leaders are old people. We understand that they might come from those that were part of the 1976 uprising. They're now spreading their leadership now into the recent democratic parties. But they should also work on innovating their ideas and sharing them with other youthful leaders so that they can come and also provide their new ideas on how to improve the democracy as it is. Mm-hmm. Because now the youth is not active in the democratic process.
Yeah. Dumi, are you active in the democratic process? Are you interested at all? What is your view?
Actually, I'm not at the age of voting. Mm-hmm. But I do think I should actually vote when I reach the age. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to be contributing, and it's going to be contributing to the, what can I say?
To the discourse.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Gamu here says he feels that the youth is not interested in political developments or what is happening generally in the country. Is he correct?
yeah, I would say he is correct because most of the youth do not vote.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them vote because of the pressure being put in by their friends, not because of what they feel inside of them.
Yeah. Any other takers aside before I go to the other side? Are they correct in saying that more can be done in terms of the youth being more active and present, and also present in mind and understanding of the political landscape and what's happening and how it affects them as the youth, since this is something that was fought for by the youth of 1976?
Yes, I agree with our opponent Gamu. The youth of today is not really interested in politics and stuff like that, which really brings a shame for the fact that the youth of 1976 sacrificed their lives for us to have those rights to be voting for our own political leaders. And now, if the youth of South Africa is today now not voting, not interested in politics, then it means that whatever that those young people fought for, it was just in vain. You understand?
Yeah. Tola?
Sometimes it's not really about participating in politics, but it's about the fear of what could happen to us when we participate in politics. For an example, when I finish school, I want to be a human rights attorney or an activist whatsoever. But then, looking at how the movement, no fees whatsoever, went down, I am really scared to my life that when I take part in this certain initiative, am I safe? Will I be heard or will I be oppressed? Lives were lost during the no fees movement. So we should also look at when the youth take part in politics, are they heard or are they oppressed?
Mm-hmm. Are you confident in taking part in politics and movements that Tolang speaks about? Do you think that your voice as a youth would be heard, or those that are a little bit ahead of you, they're being heard when they participate?
I think Tolang is right in the fact that she says that the youth of South Africa are obviously scared to raise their voice. But my view is that if those young people were able to raise their voice, they were able to stand there in front of people who were holding guns, they were able to stand there and fight for the rights. Why can't we push that?
While we are still on that topic, I know you wanted to answer that. I want to hear your views, particularly on the fees must fall and how it came about. And if, particularly those who are in matric already, you're going to tertiary and it is your parents or maybe even NSFAS that has to provide for you. To what extent are you confident that, you won't need to participate in another fees must fall when you reach that stage?
Okay, in a personal perspective of this manner, fees must fall, to me, it's an absurd matter, because if everything is given to us for free, then people no longer have the motivation to pursue their dreams. If school is provided for free, then who should pay for the lecturers that are teaching us? The lecturers will also lose motivation because they will not be earning their monthly stipend, the ones they were initially supposed to earn.
Yeah.
So it means it'll take a decrease on their salary, and that their standards of life, of living, will have to decrease also, because now school fees are no longer a thing, and then people are giving things for free. So school fees must fall. Although it is hard for other people to cater for their scholarly needs, but we also have to understand that these people also have families to provide for. So school fees cannot fall because they also have families.
Yeah. Sia, can I bring you in?
As Gamo has said, the payment of fees is very important because it helps people such as teachers, because they do get salaries so that they can be able to maintain their lifestyles. Paying school fees isn't about wasting money, or maybe we need to strike on whether the government should provide free schooling and free education.
Yeah.
But then paying school fees can also benefit for a lot of people. Yeah, and can also help bring more infrastructure in schools. It can help teachers be able to provide for themselves. It can help maybe the school principal to buy more materials which the learners may need to use. Yes, and that's what I'd say.
Ornelia, do you have a view?
No, I do agree with what Gamo and Sia have said.
About that the schools fees must be paid.
Yeah.
Anastasia, you also agree with that?
Yes, I do agree with our opponents that school fees must be paid. At the end of the day, teachers also need income. And how will teachers earn income if school fees is not paid? And how will how will the country go on and go forward if there's no income from us? Because at the end of the day, we pay in order for them to earn, right? So yes, school fees is important.
Yeah. Let's talk about an issue that I would like to pick your brains on, the issue of equality. As boys and girls in the schooling system, is the system fair to both genders? And going forward, what are your concerns? There's also the issue of teenage pregnancy. Do you feel that enough was done by the youth of 76 to try and eradicate things like teenage pregnancy, which today we see how it is impacting negatively on the youth of 2023? Nhlanhla, you have the mic.
I'd like to say inequality in classes is not there. The education system mostly benefits the girl child because
you mean equality in class,
yeah.
Right?
The education system mostly benefits the girl child. The girl child must improve. The girl child is better. The girl child is the one that has to succeed in order to sustain themselves.
Yeah.
They forget that the boy child also has to be paid attention to. They forget that the boy child also has pressure that they face at home. They're only focusing on improving girls. It's also a good initiative because they're trying to cover how men were dominant before, but they're also trying to bring women into dominance, but then they not really looking at the effects of it in the classroom. It's not believed mostly that girls that have specific features are known as the intelligent one, and boys that have specific features are not worth paying attention to. But then what about that boy that is intelligent but is being deprived of attention because of his features? What about the girl that is not worth paying attention to because she's given her life up to the system and does not want to pursue anything, but still you're giving her opportunities and taking them away from the boy? So the education system really does not benefit both genders. It only benefits one gender and gives them superiority over the other.
Yeah. Tim Simunya, do you agree with that? Anastasia, you have the mic next to Ritabile.
I agree to disagree with you. I think that it does benefit both the genders, because now, for an example, I was the 2022 school president, and the previous school president by then, it was a boy. So this raised a point that maybe in my school, for instance, equality is there. It doesn't matter, is it a boy who is a leader, is it a girl who is a leader, but the fact still remains that there is a leader.
Yeah.
Let's look at most campaigns that take place. Give a girl child a pet, give a girl child this, give a girl child this, give a girl child this. Boys also have hygienic needs. Financial cost does not really mean that the boy is okay, but then a boy also needs to have things like soap, toothbrush, Colgate, and bath materials, that they tend to forget that it affects how they are in class. If I don't have those things, or I can't afford those things as a boy at home, then that means I have to go at the worst at school, and with that I get bullied, and with that me being bullied, I get emotionally harassed and a lot of things take place and I switch off from wanting to go to school. That's why I end up dropping out. How is that actually equal? Whereas now, as an NGO that gets over 1 million in donation, all that millions go to a girl child, forgetting that the boy is also something else.
Right. So we have reached at the end of this conversation and debate, and I'm just going to ask my guests in like 1 second to say what they would like the government to prioritize when it comes to the youth of 2023. As we celebrate Youth Month in the month of June, they're going to be very quick, and then we're going to say goodbye. If you've just joined us, unfortunately you've missed out on a whole host of interesting conversation with beautiful, bright and thought-provoking young minds who have joined me in studio. And on my far right I have Sia, I have Ntlantla, Tolang and Gamut. They are from HM High Density Academy. It's in Tembisa. On my far left I have Anastasia, Ritabile, Ornelia and Dumi. I'm just going to ask them in one sentence or one word that you would want government to give attention to the youth of 2023 to. What is that one thing you need as a youth? Sia, let me start with you. Let's make it quick.
I think the government should focus on making more equality on both genders, male and female, and should also focus on getting more attentive to schools, like getting infrastructure and getting proper materials, resources, and so on.
Yeah, Ntlantla, quick.
Fund the youth. Give all opportunities to the youth and make sure that a youth child is able to become an entrepreneur. Introduce active rather than theory subjects to schools and just change the curriculum as a whole.
Fabulous. Tolan.
Overall, the government should invest in education, training and support for the youth so that they benefit fully, economically and educational opportunities.
Beautiful. Kama?
The government should change the narrative. The youth is the future. Experience doesn't matter at this point. We need more innovative minds to further our country.
Anastasia.
I think the government should the government should focus on the youth of South Africa, education based. I think they should invest more in the education of postgraduates.
Tabila?
I think the government should focus on what the youth is interested in, not what they think they are interested in. Yes.
Thank you. Ornelia?
I think the government should give the youth a chance to do what they can do, or I don't know if I should say expose, but show off their skills, give them a chance to do whatever they want in the country, but
give them support.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And to me?
I would say the government needs to invest on sports and more education to the learners.
All right. Okay. That is all that we had for Media and Society today. It has been a special broadcast for Youth Month. As you know, that the month of June is the month of the youth in South Africa, where we remember the youth that fought for all these rights that we today enjoy, particularly as the youth back in 1976. And from myself and the host, it's goodbye and do enjoy the rest of the Youth Month.